one nurse that had a little bit of a heart that asked me, is there anything that you would want me to tell your dad? That was the only bit of decency.
Welcome to More Than an Inmate's Girlfriend. I'm your host, Jay. And you guys, I need to prepare you for this episode because it is a heavy one. Bring your Kleenex. I just listened to a few clips just now. It was recorded last year and it just crushes me every time. Amber did such a beautiful job of telling her story. And her story revolves around her father being incarcerated with stage 4 cancer. And the process that she went through to try and get him out, to try and see him, to learn more about what was going on and all of the difficulties. Because anybody who's listening to this right now and has a loved one that's incarcerated knows that that's one of our biggest fears, is when our loved one gets sick. And this nightmare that we all fear for happened to Amber. And her story is both beautiful in the way that you can feel the connection that she has to her father and how much she loved and adored him and all of the things. But at the same time, all of the pain and trauma she went through in the last moments of his life, the last months of his life, trying to get access and learn more and get him out when he didn't have very much time left on his sentence. So I give you the warning. It's a hard one to listen to, and it's so important for people to learn a little bit more about what happens in those circumstances and the changes that need to be made, the humanity that needs to be fostered in these moments, because I can't imagine what it's like to have someone seriously ill and who's incarcerated that you don't have access to. So this is Amber's episode. Before we get to that, reminder, catalogs have been going out, orders have been coming in. I'm so grateful and blessed to have so many people that have ordered the catalog and have shared it. So thank you. If you don't know what that is, you can go to www.morethaninmate'sgirlfriend.com and click on the catalog. You can enter the code JANAJ, JAEANDAJ to make the catalog free, and we will send you a free one to your loved one. It is a gift catalog for people that are incarcerated to send gifts to their loved ones out in the free world. Any questions, concerns, you can reach us on social media, on Instagram at podcast_prisongf or on TikTok at morethaninmate'sgf. All of that information you can find in the show notes. If you are enjoying the show, please like, share, follow. You can hit that plus button on the top and follow the show. It really helps us see who is supporting. With that, I will let you to the episode. And again, it's a tearjerker. So do not tell me that you weren't warned. Love you guys. Take care. Welcome, Amber. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited. I think that the topic today is going to be really interesting for a lot of people because you have so many different pieces, just so much involvement in the prison system over the years. So I'm really excited to dive into your story.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell me how you and your loved one first met?
My loved one and I first met through a friend of mine. She had given me some information to reach out to somebody, and I was a little bit nervous and a little hesitant at first, but I ended up reaching out and it took off from there.
Was she seeing someone who was inside?
She was, yes. Oh. Her boyfriend is actually who introduced me and mine. She said, hey, my best friend needs a friend. Do you know of anybody in there that isn't gonna do her dirty? She needs a distraction. She needs somebody to help get her mind off everything that's going on in her life. He picked him and said he thought, based on what her boyfriend had heard of me, was like, this guy, this is the one.
Okay, how did that conversation come up with your friend? She was just like, hey, do you want to talk to someone who's incarcerated?
Actually, I was admiring their relationship because it was just really cute, and she would have him on speakerphone, give me kisses, and he just adored her on the phone. They were adoring each other. And I was like, see, I need something like that. And I had just said it jokingly, because I wasn't really sure how I would feel in a situation like that, just being set up with a stranger,
Yeah.
I guess, in that aspect. She was fortunate enough, she knew her boyfriend prior to his incarceration.
Oh.
So it wasn't anything that her and I really discussed like that. It was like a joking, like, I need somebody like that. And then she worked her magic, and a little while later was like, here you go.
Did you see his picture before you guys decided
I
to?
did. I saw a couple pictures, and obviously I liked what I saw,
Yeah.
which is why I was like, okay, I will reach out and see what's up.
Oh, how was that when you first reached out?
I was really nervous, and I don't know why, because typically I'm not like that. It took me a little bit to muster the courage, if you will. I had sent the message, and it took, I think, a day. Roughly by the next morning is when I had gotten a response back. So it made that anticipation like, well, I guess he didn't want to talk to me.
Oh.
But when I had heard back from him, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And basically, from the first response from him, it was just nothing but comfort after that. I was very nervous for no reason.
Aw. I remember when I first reached out to my husband, he didn't answer me either, and it didn't even cross my mind that he wouldn't answer. I was like, why isn't this human being answering me? It just didn't make sense to me. Hello, I'm reaching out to you.
Right.
Why aren't you answering me?
Yeah.
So what was different about him? What made you feel comfortable around him?
I guess from pretty much after those very first exchanges, there was something about it where I literally felt like I've known him my entire life. He would tell me about his day. I would tell him about mine. It was like we were picking up from another lifetime. Like we had known each other for many lives before this. It was really weird. I know it's kind of cliche to say something like, I feel like we've known each other forever, but it was very easy to talk to him, and it was really easy for him to talk to me as well. I could tell just how our conversations would go.
Isn't it fascinating? I find it fascinating. Then you look at your other relationships and you're like, this is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this easy. It was so hard, and now it's just easy.
It really is easy.
Yeah, I love that. Did you know how long his sentence was?
When we first started talking, I had gotten a little bit of the information from my friend saying that he had a couple of years left. It was uncertain. When we did start talking, I didn't want to kind of dig for too much information. I just knew the basics, that he didn't have these certain charges that I wanted to steer away from. So I let him tell me, or let it unfold the way he wanted to. And then pretty quickly, probably within the first 2 weeks, I found out he got a 12-year sentence, but 10 of it was mandatory.
Wow.
I was fortunate to be coming to him at the end of it, but yeah, he was, I think, 8 years in to the sentence, or almost 9 years.
Oh, so
yeah, almost 9 years.
So you don't have that much time left.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, and it makes me a little bit nervous, but it is very exciting.
So you talked a little bit about how you felt comfortable, felt like you knew each other. Is there anything else that you found like unique with your experience with him compared to your previous relationships?
Compared to previous relationships, I guess it was just the communication, the lack of the expectation of needing to be physical with somebody. And so with having this, being able to build such, in my eyes, the definition of a perfect relationship without having that intimacy and basing our situation off how physical we can be together and how that would go, just our communication within that is so different. He's taught me in a lot of ways how to communicate better, more efficiently, and he's taught me to be patient in ways that I've never really been able to be in my life.
Oh, he sounds like such a nice human. I'm imagining you fell for him pretty quickly, but when did you realize that you fell in love?
Oh my goodness. I'm not even going to say it's embarrassing because it's really not, but within the first day, my gut was like, he's the one.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
I tell him I fell for you in 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's funny because I fell for you in 1.3.
Aw, that's so cute. How soon
Yeah.
after texting were you guys on the phone?
It took about 2 weeks.
Oh, lucky.
I had a lot of stuff going on in my life. So it was difficult with my children and work and it being summer vacation. It was hard.
Mm,
So I waited just a little bit, and 2 weeks afterwards, we were on the phone
did his voice sound the way you thought it
a
would?
lot. It did not. So I melted when we first started talking.
Hmm.
I didn't think that I could melt or swoon over a person any
Yeah.
more than I had already had. And so when we spoke on the phone, I was immediately texting my friend, oh my goodness, his voice, it's so perfect. It's so perfect. I can't get enough of it.
Literally,
He's got a
my.
very southern accent.
Oh, really? Does he?
Yes.
Oh, I love
Mm.
it. When I first heard Nick's too, I was like, oh my gosh, this voice, I can't handle it. You explaining it the same way. I wonder how many people have the same experiences. So funny. What about telling your family and friends? How was that? Did you tell them?
I did. I told a lot of people pretty quickly that I had started talking to him, and I was getting a lot of judgment. I recently went back and revisited this topic with some of those friends where they're like, I just thought it was just a fling. I thought it was just, oh, you're going to be bored with this person or
Mm,
whatever, and you would be past it. None of them expected it to last this long. I do have a lot of them that don't really seem to care for the situation. They try to be supportive, but they don't really understand
yeah.
the situation and why I'm choosing and deciding to stay with someone that I can't be with, or whatever their reasoning or questions are for the situation. But my family struggles with it. My dad had some pretty firm words to me about it.
Really?
Yeah. My biological father
Okay.
had some pretty firm words about it. It's kind of a tough topic with a lot of people.
Yeah. I feel like you're lucky in that he is going to come out soon and you will have that ability to prove them wrong pretty quickly here. So I think
Right.
that's important. Like a lot of people don't have to wait. I don't know how long I'll have to wait till my friends will see that he proved to be who he said he was going to be. But in your
Right.
case, it's coming up pretty quick. Just hold your opinions for a minute and wait till he comes out, and then we'll be okay.
A lot of them, though, are impressed, though, that we are still together now.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
he and I are excited to prove a lot of the naysayers and
Yeah.
skeptical people wrong.
Have you met in person?
We have.
You have, okay. I just wasn't sure if you guys are
Oh,
living close to each other or not.
no,
Oh, you're not? Yeah.
no,
It's so hard, isn't it?
it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate it so much. What was that like meeting him the first time?
Oh my goodness, it was perfect.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to pass out when I seen him come in because his pictures just didn't do him justice.
Yeah.
And you can't get the full effect of him in the pictures.
Yeah.
I feel like such a
Yeah, I
high
love
school
it.
kid talking about this. I wanted to just, I needed to grab onto something basically
Yeah.
because it was very euphoric feeling
Yeah.
being able to see him. Somebody that I loved before I met them in person,
Right?
before I even talked to him on the phone, and then I'm here seeing him in person. It was very surreal.
Oh, you saw him very quickly.
Yes, it was a couple months after we had started talking.
Wow. Nice. I find like the closest thing I can feel to the first time that I went and met him was, you know, when you read a really good book and you wish you could go back and read it for the first time again? I wish I could go back
Mhm.
that moment and relive it over and over because it was like the best feeling to just confirm everything that you thought already.
Every time I would go to see him, it was always, for me, I just was so excited that I was able to make it there because I had to drive from states away to go see him. I was only able to see him once a month. Sometimes I was lucky enough to squeeze a second time in.
Oh, wow.
But I was so anxious waiting for them to call my name so that they would pull me back to come see him and just so I could hug him. And
So nice.
every time was different experience, but
Yeah.
it was an amazing one.
Aw. Not to burst the bubble, but what would you say would be your biggest struggle or hurdle that you guys have faced so far in your relationship?
I think the biggest struggle with it is having to navigate being able to communicate with him through the DOC.
Okay.
Wanting to be able to talk to him about something, or something comes up, or maybe I'm feeling insecure and I can't just pick up the phone and call him and be like, this is how I feel. I need you to help me calm down. I need you to explain this to me. Then having to wait for a reply, say if they're on lockdown or something like that, not being able to even pick up the phone for him to call, but waiting on some form of correspondence, whether it's through the messaging system they have or a handwritten letter. That's been incredibly difficult to navigate, because if I'm stressed out about something and I need an answer, I need an answer now. I've learned a lot of patience with this, where I'm like, okay, this isn't his fault. We're going to work through it. We're going to get past this, and everything's going to be okay as soon as we get to talk things out.
Yeah, I find like it's like you're really learning the concept of time when you're in these relationships.
Right.
Because like to them also, I feel like time goes by differently than it does out here. So sometimes it feels like I haven't talked to you in forever. It's different, and trying to correlate that and calm down and be like, it's okay that he normally calls at 3:05 and he hasn't called and it's 3:08. It's okay. You know, like it doesn't mean that he's been hurt. It doesn't mean that he's been taken by the COs. But I constantly...
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So that's a normal thought, right?
Oh yeah.
Because if he calls me at 3:05 every day and it's 3:15 and I haven't heard from him, I'm like, something terrible has happened. Let me check the DOC and make sure that it hasn't changed. And as long as nothing on the DOC website has changed, then I can calm down and not assume the absolute worst.
Yeah. But it's like they're in a war zone, it feels like sometimes. I've been on the phone with him, and then all of a sudden it's like screaming. And I'm like, what is going on? And then there's something going on outside, or the doors are opening and there shouldn't be opening. It's just scary. There's all these things that just at the drop of a hat, you never know. They're always on edge, I find.
It really is. And it's so traumatizing. But I've been in very similar situations when it came to that with him, where everything seems fine in the background and then something crazy is going on. And he's, baby, hang on, hold on a second, just a second. You hear what sounds like a massacre or something occurring.
I know.
And they're just sitting there, oh, it's okay, this and this just happened. And I'm like, and you're not traumatized right now.
I know.
That's traumatized to hear.
It's crazy what they go through and what they've adjusted to. And it really is an adjustment for us as we navigate this. Because, I definitely feel it, exactly what you're saying. Is this the first time that you've experienced? It was a very new experience for me. I've never experienced anything like that. I've never known anybody who's been through incarceration before. Was this your first time dealing with the DOC?
It was not.
No.
So my dad that raised me, the one I grew up knowing and calling my dad, he was incarcerated a couple times when I was a child, and then again once I was older.
Wow. So you have a lot of memories of him not being around because he was incarcerated.
Correct, yes. Very difficult ones.
Really? Do you remember your earliest memories of him being incarcerated?
Very vaguely, because I was young. I was around 5 years old, and I just remember being taken care of by other family members while that was happening. It was nothing. I was never brought to any facilities, unfortunately, when we were really young to be able to visit him. So I just knew my dad was away during those times.
Oh, so you didn't know where he was?
They gave us really minimal information.
And then you said later on in life he went back when you were older.
Yes.
So there was like a stint where he was home again.
Yes.
Wow.
He was
And
home for a while.
do you remember learning that he was incarcerated all those times before?
It just, it's hard to say just because as I was getting older, I just knew. And then I knew that all right, my dad's not here, so he might be incarcerated. That's probably where he's at. And then as we got a little bit older and with different family members, we were able to have the phone calls. So that made it abundantly clear. And as I got older, I continued to understand and grasp what was going on more and more.
Wow. What did that feel like? How did you feel about it?
It was a struggle just being young and not being able to be taken care of by who I thought was my dad back then. Having a really interesting way of being raised by different family members whenever whoever was available.
Yeah. I'm just so curious because it happens so often. There's so many kids out whose parents are currently incarcerated. I feel like a lot of people would want to know what that experience was like because we don't recognize what the impact really is on a child. Did you notice a change in him at all when he was like out versus his time in and coming back?
I do remember when I was younger, when he had gotten out, when he had come home, he was just very different. He was working for his GED, taking night classes and going to church. I remember that stuff very vividly because our life was one way and then all of a sudden it was very different. We were back with our dad and we were going to church and he was working and very high functioning, doing everything he needed.
Did you know anybody else whose parents were incarcerated, or were you really the only person that you knew?
That's hard. I don't really remember too much of anyone else, really.
Because I'm wondering if you had anybody to share that experience or those feelings with.
Not really.
No. That must have been pretty hard. It feels
It
like
just,
you really loved him.
I did.
Yeah, I can feel it off of you.
Yeah.
His impact on you. So I can feel that there was a lot of love there for him that you had.
But I was very much a daddy's girl growing up. I did not find out until I was 24 on Christmas Eve that he was not my biological father. He did not know that he was not my biological father from what I understood. However, I learned that he did know he was not my biological father, and that it really secured that bond between he and I because I did not know, and I've seen in movies and TV shows or heard from other people how that affected people in negative ways or however it would affect some people and cause a bunch of turbulence in their life. But it made me love my dad even more than I could have possibly thought I loved him before, to know that he raised me and he loved me, and every chance he got, he made sure that I knew I was loved, that I wasn't alone.
I love that. It's so true. My husband and I have had that conversation as well, and he like your father chose. He didn't have to choose to raise you. He didn't have to choose to love you, and he like made that choice actively to love a child that wasn't his, that he knew he wasn't his.
Then there was never a single day that I ever questioned if he loved me or was my dad. Really what kind of set it off was I just got older and I realized, oddly, it's such a strange way. I was like, I don't look anything like him. I know these traits don't come from my mom's side because I was taking biology, anatomy, and physiology and stuff like that in school. I know it's odd, but I just was like, let me ask. And I learned. But it was so special to me to have found out that he loved me so perfectly that I never questioned if he was my dad because of how I felt.
Oh, I love that. Were you ever angry with him that he was getting arrested, being locked up?
As much as I would love to say yes, I wasn't. He was battling with addiction for as long as I can remember. And as when I was younger, and even at the beginning of his last stint in prison, it was a comfort to me because when the times leading up to him ending up having to go to prison, he would just not be doing well,
Right.
struggling with addiction, making very poor decisions. It was concerning because we didn't know where he was, what he was doing, if he was going to end up dead,
Yeah.
or if he could end up killing someone. It was very stressful. So in a lot of ways, as I was getting older, it was a relief to know that I knew where he was.
Yeah, that makes
And in
sense.
my mind, my very naive mind was like, oh, he's safe now. Nothing can happen to him.
Yeah, I would have thought the same thing. He's in a
Right.
safe place because he's incarcerated. But we know
You'd
now.
like to think that.
Yeah. Now we know it's the opposite. Is he still
Right.
incarcerated?
He's not. Unfortunately, he passed away in June 2017.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. Was he incarcerated at the time?
He was. He was expected to get out or to complete his sentence roughly a year after he passed away.
Oh, that's tough. What happened? How did he pass away?
He received a 10-year sentence and he was placed in prison in 2008. Towards the end of his sentence in, I want to say, February 14th, 2017, I had received a phone call that they had found a mass on his kidney. Prior to that, he had additional health issues that he was battling. He was HIV positive. He had hepatitis and some of the things that kind of went with being an intravenous drug user.
Okay.
So he was struggling with that. Obviously, that kind of takes a toll on your body. But February 14th, 2017, when they had found the mass, he was told that he had stage 4 renal cancer that had metastasized. It ruptured his kidney and had metastasized to his lungs and some of the surrounding areas. Some of the real specifics are a little hazy, but he ultimately succumbed to having cancer that had spread to his brain. He died June 27th, 2017.
He was really like 6 months that he was sick or around there. It wasn't long.
Yes. And that was quite the fight.
Yeah. What is it like to have a loved one that does have cancer, that is suffering from a very serious illness? What's it like trying to make sure that he's taken care of? Is he being taken care of? What was that like?
So that was an absolute nightmare. Having to deal with, first of all, finding all of that out, you don't know who to deal with. You don't know who you can call. You don't know what you can do. Trying to get the paperwork input into the system, and so that everybody is tracking the same information that, hey, this girl is important. This is his daughter. She has a right to this information. She can access this information or request it. Trying to get an array of people on the same page was just difficult within itself. But then not knowing the type of treatment he should have access to, or that he had options to, I guess, say yes or agree to or deny or whatever the case is. It was just very stressful having to deal with that, not knowing, because my father, there's a lot of people, not even just him, but a lot of people don't understand a lot of medical issues that they're going through just because they're suffering from that. doesn't mean that they understand it. So having to have my father try and relay information to me was just even more stressful, being on the outside and not being able to just go with him to an appointment and be like, can you please explain to me what is happening? What is this official diagnosis? How can we get treatment? What kind of treatment? Having to deal with that was, it's incredibly difficult to put into words how frustrating and just angry it made me to go through what I had to go through, and I wasn't even the person having to undergo the process with getting him treatment or getting him medicated or having to beg to go see the doctors or be brought to a hospital because you're bleeding from somewhere and you don't know what's wrong with you. A tumor has ruptured your kidney or some other issue has gone on.
Yeah, I'm sitting here so stressed out as you're talking to me about this. Did you even have options? Were you given options? Did you get on the phone with the doctor? Was there a meeting? Did any of that happen?
There was none of that. The nurses were slightly more helpful, but at one point I took some avenues, and I don't know how I got there, but I ended up getting in contact with the actual doctor to the surrounding facility where he was sent to. I was on the phone with him maybe all of 5 seconds, and he was not friendly whatsoever. Basically told me, I don't know who you are, nor do I care, and hung up the phone.
Hey, it's AJ from More Than an Inmate's Girlfriend podcast. Our new More Than an Inmate's gift catalog is out, and it's free for a limited time to send to your loved one. We know that just because someone is incarcerated doesn't mean they don't want to make their person feel special, but sometimes they don't have a way to do it. That's what this catalog is for. Visit morethanAninmatesGirlfriend.com and enter the code JANDAJ, that's JAEANDAJ, to send the catalog today. Because being incarcerated doesn't mean they stop wanting to show effort. Sometimes they just need help doing it.
So I was just trying to get information. My dad was being told, you have a year to live. But when I'm speaking to the nurses, they're like, we can't tell you how long he has to live. Nobody knows. I could not get much more information besides stage 4 kidney cancer is pretty much what they would tell me. I asked him, can he do chemotherapy? They never really gave me an answer. I do recall that they said that they were going to go in and surgically remove the mass that had ruptured his kidney. However, my dad was terrified because of the facility that they wanted to do this procedure at. They had referred to as a chop shop. So my dad didn't want to do that. He wanted to do something to, I guess, help shrink it. But we didn't really know between he and I together what was the best option. Not just the most convenient for the doctors, but what is his best option to maybe give him a chance to extend his life, to make him more comfortable. So we were very lost on what avenues we could have taken to make him better. We were just told, we don't know why he can't have chemo. We're not doing chemo. No radiation, no chemo.
I'm so angry right now, just hearing that. What was his pain level? Like, was he being taken care of in that regard?
So with that, his pain, I do not recall him ever complaining of pain. Even when it was confirmed that his kidney was ruptured by the mass and he was bleeding for days, my dad did not complain of pain.
Wow.
There was a lot of very painful things that I learned of after he had passed that he was suffering from. But I just remember in his final weeks, he was always denying he did not want painkillers. He did not want anything for pain. He was battling an addiction, and he did not want... They were giving him 5 milligram Percocet, but he was denying that medication, the pain relief, because in his eyes, it was him relapsing.
Oh my gosh.
There was numerous times when I was fortunate to be sitting there at the hospital by his side, telling these nurses and doctors, he is declining pain medicine. He is saying this right now in front of me, in front of you. He does not want this pain medicine.
Wow. Because he saw it as relapsing.
Yes.
Even though he knew he was dying, he didn't want to go back. Wow. That's heavy.
Yeah.
How did you deal?
The best way I could deal with it was every chance I could go and see him. Every time the DOC would let me go visit him, be by his side, or allow him to call me, I was taking advantage of every bit of that. I was living in Texas at the time, and my father was living in Florida. Anytime they were like, hey, we don't think he's going to make it until tomorrow, I was either in the car driving 18 hours, hoping that he had longer than they were saying, or I was on a flight there as fast as I could, just to make sure I was there, because I did it more than anything. I did not want him to die alone.
Yeah. Did they give you more access to him?
They did, but they didn't. And that is a very sore subject when it comes to dealing with them, because I do have a incredible amount of hate for the way they had affected mine and my sister's last opportunities to see him.
Okay.
Knowing that he could die any day, making our experiences very difficult and very uncomfortable, and compassion or understanding.
I don't understand. It's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
I'm so sorry you went through that.
Thank you.
I can't even imagine the helplessness. Like, I feel helpless right now, and my husband's perfectly fine. I can't imagine having a sick loved one and being treated the way you were treated.
One of the most frustrating things that not only does everything that he went through haunt me every day, it was I went through every avenue I could and called all the time and bothered people when I hated to be a bother, just stayed on every person who I felt like might have a little bit of human decency, and to try and figure out what I could do for him to get him out, because I wanted him home, because I felt like I could heal him.
Yeah.
Being that there was multiple occasions the first day of being able to come back to see him, he was laying there nearly lifeless, looked like he wasn't going to make it, but he would turn around 180 degrees with me being there. And he was in the critical care unit, swollen. He did not look like he was going to make it. Me being there a couple hours, by the next morning, he was perfectly fine. This went on for a long time, every time I got to see him. Yeah. And it made me feel like I could heal him if I could get him home.
Right.
So finally, I had a little bit of guidance within the system, and they helped me to submit and do everything I could for a compassionate release. Okay. When I thought there was light at the end of that tunnel, they end up releasing him on parole. Why I could have went to go get him, I was unable to, because I was living on a military installation in Texas, and the parole board, the state of Texas, denied his transfer from Florida to Texas. So while I could have gotten him, they ran us right into another wall to where there was really nothing I could do. I was the only one fighting for my dad.
Yeah.
My sister was unable to. She lived in a completely different state, and we did not have a very big family. I was the only one fighting, so I had nothing. I had pretty much used any funds that I had in traveling and hotels. So while he was granted that compassionate release, it was a little bit less than a year he had left of his sentence. There was nothing that I could do. It was just like, oh, good job, you passed this, but we're
stopping you somewhere else.
You don't have an address.
Yeah. Wow. When did you get that compassionate release?
It was granted in April 2017.
So he stayed there.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's frustrating.
I think you did a fantastic job of explaining the difficulties of having a loved one who's sick inside. Is there anything else that you want to share, or any experiences or any guidance for those that, you know, experience that or might come into that scenario? Do you have any advice?
I guess my best advice would just be starting points of creating the paper trails of who you need to contact, starting with what you know from your loved one, then ensuring that you have the release of information, being an emergency contact, then also knowing who you need to call pertaining to what, because you can't just go into the situation. I'm going to call the warden and ask him about my loved one's medical issue, because the warden cannot help you. You have to know, you'll have to contact the medical facility, who you'll need to talk to in the medical facility. You have to be patient. I will say that is where the most of my patience has come from, is having to be able to work with people who don't want to work with you, being kind, even when all you want to do is rattle their entire life. You have to be kind, because even if they're being nasty, as long as you're being kind, you can collect little bits of avenues or information that you might need to take advantage of to go on to the next step to find out who. But my biggest thing is, when you have a loved one in there, you want them to know, the facilities need to know that your loved one is in there. Otherwise, they will do even less for your loved one if they think they have nobody, or nobody that cares, or somebody that might not be persistent.
That's so true. And I think that's across the board at any point. If they know that you have a loved one that cares, they treat them so much different, because they know there's eyes on them. It's crazy that it gets to that point where people who don't have a lot of family, and there's a lot of people that are incarcerated that don't have a lot of family, don't have a lot of friends, don't have deep connections with people in the outside world, and they just get treated so much worse because they don't have anyone. It's so sad.
It's really sad. It's sad that you have to prove that this person, instead of them being human, that should be enough for them to be treated decently. You have to have somebody on the outside that proves how much they love you for you to even get simple treatment, like simple medical treatment or food in some cases.
I just want to say this because for me, when someone passes, you want them to know that they were loved. And all the things that you did, the way that you speak about him, I just know that no matter what happened and how he passed and how you couldn't get him out, I just know that he must have felt so loved by you for you to fight so hard, because it's so difficult to deal with them. It sounds like you went through a nightmare, but yet he knew that you were there fighting for what you could. And I think that's the best gift you could have given someone on their last moments.
I did my best. The DOC certainly got to me. It made me, for a long time, feel very insufficient. I know I love my dad, and I know I did everything I could until I got to a point to where it was very hard. There was nothing. I had no money. I couldn't just get a hotel and just come stay with me at this hotel. They left me feeling just very insufficient. Ruined the last moments with him. I remember having one nurse that had a little bit of a heart that asked me, is there anything that you would want me to tell your dad? That was the only bit of decency that came from the entire situation.
It just highlights the need for change in so many different ways. That must have definitely shaped the way that you saw the prison system and the Department of Corrections in general. I'm sure that tainted it. And then here you are.
It did.
Meeting someone who's incarcerated and going through the whole DOC system again.
Right.
How did that impact you?
I feel like, as crazy as it sounds, I feel like I, in a way, maybe came back with a vengeance. Because thankfully, my boyfriend is not sick. I don't have to deal with that. He did sustain an injury, which, dealing with the extent of medical care and needs I was trying to with my dad, it really helped me to advocate for him when it came to the lack of medical care he got for surgery on his leg. And they had left his staples in his leg, and his leg healed open with the staples. They didn't start the physical therapy, just thrown in there, tossed from this place to this place. He was left to heal on his own. He couldn't get the staples out of his leg. He couldn't get Band-Aids, couldn't see the doctor regularly about it and stuff. The situation with my dad really helped.
Prepare you
to
for
be
that?
able to, right. And not just that, in many other ways when things happen. When I have questions, I know who I need to go to. I know exactly what I need to do.
Right.
I'm more familiar with it than just winging it when it came to the experience.
So he got injured, your boyfriend got injured while he was incarcerated pretty severely.
Yes.
Are you his emergency contact? Probably not.
He tried to put me on his emergency contact, and somehow they managed to keep losing the paper. So when I contacted the facility, I knew that they wouldn't be able to tell me any information. They connected me from medical to the social worker. They're like, you need to speak to the social worker. So I was like, okay, this is the first with a social worker. But I was like, okay, so listen, I know you cannot tell me any information because I do not believe I'm on his emergency contact list yet. But my boyfriend has had staples in his leg for over a month. Can somebody please tend to it, because he's telling me it is becoming red, it's warm to touch, it is secreting fluid.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. And she's, we can't tell you anything. I was like, yes, ma'am, I understand that. But can somebody check on him?
Yeah.
The next day, the staples were out. He did have an infection, and they gave him antibiotics. And he still has a little bit of trouble with it today because there is still a large scab that is continuing to come back on his leg where it healed open.
How did you find out that he was injured?
We were talking and I didn't hear from him. And I have a friend whose boyfriend is in there. They were able to let me know my suspicions of him being injured were correct. From there, it was a waiting game before I was able to finally hear from him.
Did you try calling the facility?
I didn't call the facility. I did send some emails to the warden.
Okay.
Saying that, being confident in myself, I know he was injured. I need to know if he was okay, but that's where I was getting that, sorry, we can't tell you anything. You're not on his emergency contact. That was in the very beginning. At this point, though, I had not been in contact with any of his family. I knew his family knew about me, but there was never a point where we had gotten to speak or anything. I had to blindly reach out to his mother and hope she didn't think that I was crazy, because the facility didn't even contact her to tell her that he was injured.
Oh, wow. We had talked about this before we started recording, but I was telling you about how Nick got injured, and he had a similar kind of medical neglect thing. I think it's just super common, but he got hit in the head with a padlock. 3 days later, I guess they told him that his retina was detached. Then they put him back in his cell. 3 days later, he went blind in that eye, and they didn't believe him. And then 3 weeks, it took 21 days of him being blind in one eye and him constantly telling them I'm blind in one eye, to the point where he refused to lock down till he got medical. Then they were like, oh, if you would have told us when you lost your sight, in your eye, we could have reattached your retina. He's blind forever because of that. Just reckless.
It really is.
And
Why is it difficult for somebody to get medical?
did you notice between your dad and your boyfriend if it got better? Do you think it got better since then?
It's honestly hard for me to say because of the severity or how different the
Right.
situations are.
Okay.
What I dealt with my boyfriend and my dad, it seemed to have been easier when it came to my boyfriend.
Okay.
However, his injuries, while they were severe, weren't to the extent that my dad was going through. I would like to think that maybe it's gotten better. I'm hopeful that it's gotten better, but it's really hard for me to say just because the situations were so different.
While he was going through this, how did you know what to do? How did you know that the staples shouldn't be in there? Are you medical, or was Google your best friend? How did you mitigate that?
So it was a mixture of both. I've always been a little bit more medically inclined because I find the medical field so fascinating. I did go to school way back when for medical assisting. I didn't pursue that really. I did a little bit of home health care and helped with hospice patients, but I never really lost the stuff that would be common sense in the medical field. Hey, your staples or stitches should not be in here exceeding this long. They should probably come out. And then in those areas, the basics, like, hey, is it red? Is it leaking? Is it hot? Is it painful? These are questions I was asking him. He's like, you think they should come out? And I'm like, okay, what did they say? And he's like, they didn't tell me when they were going to come out. Let me do a quick Google search to figure out like a baseline. I'm like, yeah, everything is saying 2 weeks. And tomorrow is a month and a day. I learned to be able, though, to maybe manipulate my words so that they would take me more seriously. Okay. Instead of saying, it's been a month and a day, I'm like, he's had staples in for more than a month. Because to me, that sounds a little bit more serious. I'll take that situation more serious. But then I did have the supporting stuff. However, I wasn't telling those people Google was helpful. I just was very confident in what I was saying. I know his staples should not still be in here, and it's been more than a month.
Oh,
Please
smart.
Look into this.
I love it. That's good advice. How would you say it strengthened your relationship going through this? I feel like you were such a helpful hand for him throughout this healing.
I think it strengthened it, obviously, for him a lot in a way of him seeing just really that I'm here to be by his side. I care about him. I want to make sure he is okay. I want to be here for him. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I have your needs met.
Yeah.
Contacting who I need to ensure that you're okay, you're not being neglected in some of the most significant ways with your medical or eating or things of that nature.
It sounds like you're so confident in your ability to do all these things. And I feel like you've grown so much over these experiences. Would you say it's made you stronger in your life, having gone through all this when it comes to dealing with DOC?
It has in a lot of ways. My boyfriend has helped me become a lot stronger and a lot more confident. But yeah, having to deal with the DOC this time around has made me feel a lot more confident. And especially when I've been able to, I guess, have success in some of the matters that I've had to deal with.
For sure. That would build confidence. Right. I didn't actually prepare you for this, but I'm so curious because I didn't realize he's coming out so soon. What's the game plan when he comes out?
The game plan is whenever he's ready to come home, whenever he's being released, I'm going to get him, and he's going to move up here with me because me and him both want him out of Florida. We want a whole new start, a whole fresh start.
Cool. Is he going to be on parole, or is he jamming his number?
He is no parole.
Oh, nice.
Thankfully.
Yeah, so he's
free and clear once he comes home.
Oh, man. You must be so excited. I'm so jealous.
I'm so excited.
Aw.
And it'll be the last time.
Last question is, can you just share, and you've shared a lot about him already, but just share with us a little bit more about your loved one and why he is so much more than his mistakes and what you want people to know about him as a human being.
He's just, it's hard to put into words. I can just feel in how he talks to me that he's more than his mistakes. They were just that, his mistakes. He's so positive and understanding and determined.
When you think about his crimes and then you know him as a human, do you correlate the two? Can you see that he was that person?
Not at all.
No.
Not even in the least. I know he had his own struggles, which were influential to those decisions that he made. He is sober now and doing amazing. So maybe that is why. It's hard. I didn't know him as that person that was under the influence of anything other than life. He just is not the type of person. He continuously is a very positive role model to me. When he hears me saying or acting in a way that could potentially get me in trouble out of just me being frustrated or overwhelmed, he is my voice of reason.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. Amber, this episode, you had me crying so much. I can't thank you enough for sharing those experiences and that vulnerability. I feel like people need to know what it's like from someone who's lived that experience. I just thank you so much for coming on and sharing that and sharing about your loved one. I cannot wait to hear how things go when he comes home. And I hope that you will share that because it's so exciting.
I absolutely will.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
And listening to my story, letting me talk about my dad.
Oh, so powerful. So powerful. Thank you so much again. I wish you all the best, you and your loved one, all the best in your future and transition to him coming home.
Thank you.